earlier yesterday, the International Trade Court had come down and actually put a pause on Donald Trump's tariffs. And this was after a company had brought a case before the International Trade Court and basically said that President Trump had actually overstepped his authority, saying that, like when Congress gave these powers to the president as far as being able to implement tariffs in other countries, it was supposed to be for like specific industries. It was supposed to be for, individual countries. And so his choice on his quote unquote liberation day to do these reciprocal tariffs across the board for all these different countries is actually outside of the scope of what the president is supposed to be able to do with these tariffs. Well, a federal judge, heard this case and agreed with the company and said that, yeah, you're absolutely right. The president did overstep his bounds here. He did actually overstep his legal authority. And so we're going to block all of these different tariffs right now. Well, since that's happened, an appeals court has come through and said that actually, hold on a second. We're going to hear this case, but in the meantime, we're going to allow these tariffs to stay in place. And then right after that happened, another federal judge came in and then issued a new block on the tariffs, and now they're trying to appeal that right now. So we are actually in right now in like a holding pattern. So it's kind of unclear in this very moment whether or not these tariffs are on or not. But the point is that they are currently being challenged. From Politico here, it seems as though that this is going to be dealt with within the next like 14 days or so. The U.S. judge, Rudolph Contreras, he's out of Washington, said that he's not covering the federal court circuit stay, and that he's actually his ruling will. I apologize here. My screen just went blank on me for a second here, but basically he's leaving the Trump tariffs in place for the next 14 days while they're appealing the. I kind of lost there for a second. Anyway. The tariffs are kind of still in effect as of right now while the appeal process is going through. Apologies, everyone. Kind of got a little tongue-tied there for a second. So what was your thoughts when you first kind of saw this story kind of come through the wire? Because it does seem that we are having a little bit of hope here with the tariffs, which are going to make everything right now more expensive, right? I mean, everything that you can think of, coming from other countries, things that we can't get here. There's so many like stores in general, things like Walmart, for instance, that basically everything is coming from outside of the country. And as everyone's been talking about over the last couple of months, tariffs really impact the most vulnerable people again in our society the most, because the people who are shopping in some of these places are people who are looking to save some money. And so I think that there's just a lot of damage that's going to come from these Trump tariffs, and the stock market kind of reflects that. But what was your thoughts when you kind of saw this story come through?
Again, ping pong summer. I can't keep up with this. I don't even know when I can buy something that's imported. We've seen the damage already happen where people are attaching tariff prices to goods online, so that you can see how much of an impact it's having on your wallet. But one of the things that we've heard is that it'll cost on average about $5,000 extra per household if these tariffs go through. And I don't have those extra $5,000. So what does that mean for a household? It means we're gonna be looking like Googling Great Depression era recipes and how to live on maybe like 2 pants and 3 shirts, like Homer Simpson style, right? Just the same everything. So it's going to be a dystopic future for sure if not only the tariffs go through, but also the big beautiful bills cuts go through as well. It's going to create an America that'll have some sort of feudalism to it. All of these tech bros are going to have their stakes in different areas, in their regions, and we'll all be forced to work for them because AI will replace everything. So that's like this dystopic nightmare that's a possibility at this point. But with regards to the inception of tariffs, another way we're going to be impacted is how farmers are going to lose. They lost in the first Trump administration when the trade wars that Trump initiated resulted in the loss of tens of billions of dollars for farmers. And we're already seeing farmers who have been impacted by Doge cuts when they lost farm to schools, when they lost that funding. That was billions of dollars. And so far this year, I think farmers have lost $6 billion. Last year, they lost about $20 billion due to natural disasters. And so, with the loss of exports, then it's going to be even worse. Now, in the first Trump administration, they were able to receive bailouts, but are we in a space? Do we have the funding or the budget where farmers can get bailouts? So there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack here. Farmers are already not making much money. Are they going to
Right.
shop? Are they going to sell off their land? If they do that, how are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? What kind of chaos will ensue? And we'll be reminded of the supply chain issues from the pandemic where there wasn't enough food being transported. Now there's just not going to be enough food. Forget about the transportation, the chain stuff.
Yeah.
Not going to have enough food. So there's a lot to be concerned about. And so I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I just watched the new Mission Impossible.
Okay.
I'll say this: Tom Cruise has 3 days to save the world. Right? He has 3 days to save the world, and you see what he goes through in those 3 days. I would have the world would have been toast by the end of day one if I was Ethan Hunt. Let me tell you that it was very difficult, but he was doing this as a part of a small team, even single-handedly. He was doing this, but we outnumber everybody in Congress. We outnumber the billionaires and the centimillionaires. We outnumber all the people in the administration. And we need to really have that class consciousness to come together and say, we reject all of this. We are going to fight back and push back until we're blue in the face, because otherwise there's going to be millions of people who die. And it doesn't have to be affecting us directly, but we need to have that empathy and the compassion for everybody, because right now we are losing on the empathy and compassion for everybody. We see kids burning alive in Gaza, and we're doing nothing about it. So who are we as people? What are we doing? If we cannot see those kids in Gaza being killed as our own kids, then what, right? So we really need to really wake ourselves up. We got to wake ourselves up. If we are being blindsided by the entertainment that we have in front of us, if Netflix is distracting us from everything, we really need to wake up from it all and not let entertainment be the doom of the entirety of what has been built over the past 249 years here in America. We're going to celebrate our 250th birthday in just a couple months. But at what
next
cost?
year?
Oh, next year, right? Yeah, not
next year.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about the military parade that's happening in a couple weeks for Trump.
Oh, God. Whole different story.
What kind of America are we going to have? It's up to us to make that decision. We have to do it as a united front, as a working class, knowing that we have the power, and the power is in the numbers.
Someone in the comments just asked me what the good news is. I think one of the good news that I'm taking from all this is the fact that someone is effectively challenging Trump's tariffs in court right now. And there is a very strong possibility that this, challenge is going to stand. So it's being appealed right now, true, but there's a good chance that after the appeals process is over, that the the actual pause on these tariffs will actually stay into effect. Mm-hmm. So right now, we are seeing one of the biggest miscalculations. Maybe it's actually not a miscalculation. Maybe it was very intentional, but whatever the case was, one of the biggest political blunders I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. If you are going to implement tariffs on something, on anything, there has to be a strategic reason for it. And there has to be some kind of, outcome that you're trying to get to that's supposed to be a betterment for society as a whole. And that is not what's happened with these tariffs. I mean, you are not going to bring manufacturing back to America in a snap of a fingers just because you put tariffs on all these different countries. The only thing that you're going to do is just make it more expensive for everyone to get the things they are trying to get. And you are going to depress the economy here at home. There are just some things that just do not exist here in America. They just don't exist here. And if you are trying to, build back the manufacturing in this country, show me the subsidies that you're doing. Show me the investments in the warehouses that you are making across the country. When we were talking about trying to bring, chips, the chips, that were kind of the semiconductors right now that are being made almost exclusively in Taiwan. Biden passed the CHIPS Act, a couple of years ago to try to make sure that these things are being manufactured more here at plants in Ohio, at plants in Arizona. And that's the kind of idea that if you were trying to bring manufacturing back to America, those are the things that you'd be doing. But instead, Trump is just making it so that we are being isolated on like a global trade level from basically everyone else. We are seeing countries that used to hate each other, like China, South Korea, and Japan, entering into new trade pacts now, on top of the fact that China's now getting into different trade pacts with the European Union. So basically, everyone has come together to push us out of the global trade conversation because they don't trust us anymore. And when Trump eventually figures this all out, it'll be too late. So this is a massive, like just like shot to our economy in so many different ways. And again, on a more human level, a shot to people who are going to rely on the goods that we get from other countries and the jobs that are provided from these things. And so I just think that I am hoping beyond all hope that after these cases, continue to go through the appeals process, and maybe if they go even higher than that, that the end result will be that these tariffs are in fact blocked, because I think that's ultimately what needs to happen for everyone involved.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for people who want to create a strong America to support tariffs or to even support the big beautiful bill. These are
Yeah.
things that if a foreign adversary wanted to destroy the country, this is what they would do. And right now, they're just sitting back and eating popcorn while they watch
Yeah.
us ourselves. So it's mind numbing to be here right now, to be in this country, paying our taxes for the destruction of our own country. But like, what's the good news? The good news is that we're here. There's pushback happening. There's so many lawsuits. There's a Shakespeare a play that Shakespeare wrote, and one of the back and forths is about how do you destroy society? You kill all the lawyers. So we're seeing that the society is being saved right now by the lawyers because
Okay.
they're here,
Okay.
you know? And so that's the beauty of it. Like, if you really wanted to, if Trump wanted to like deport anybody, it should be the lawyers. But the litigation battles are being waged, they're being won, and they're getting
Yeah.
healed if they're getting lost. So there are delays that are being created, which is good. And hopefully, gosh, it's maybe just another 3.5 more years, and then we're out of this.
Oh
But
my God. I mean, I have more hope for the midterms next year to, hopefully strongly check his power. So, putting a lot of stock into that, but, won't give us into a whole different subject here, but pay attention to your primaries, people. Don't want to just be sending anyone, into the midterms next year. I want to make sure you're sending the right people. So make sure that you're voting in the primary elections. But Salaam, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really do appreciate it. For the people who aren't, following you already, like, where can they find you at online?
yeah, if you click above, you should be able to get to my Substack called A Paycheck Away. It talks about how we're a paycheck away from poverty and how we can solve for that. Like, one of the big things I'm on is guaranteed income. I
Yeah.
believe guaranteed income will not only solve for poverty, like 90% of it at least, but it will also make things a lot more efficient and remove a lot of these welfare programs that will no longer need to be around. So my latest post talks about, hey, what could that look like? I'm across pretty much all social media as Poverty Lawyer. So welcome you following on Instagram especially, and all the other channels. But wherever you get your social media, I'm there as Poverty Lawyer, hoping to provide content that is timely. It's not just about issues and helping you learn more about the issues, but also how we can solve for these issues. Because there's so much bad news out there. How do we figure out what the solution is?
Absolutely. Well, for those who are watching the playback here, the links will be in the episode description, so you can go ahead and check those out now. You'll be able to find him on the different platforms. I wanted to thank everyone who's watching right now, especially give a big shout out to Kathy, who's been saying nice things down in the comments. I wanted to say hi to Kathy really quickly there. But thank you to everyone who actually left some comments, although a lot of people did. I'm sorry we couldn't get to more of them. I think they were kind of just coming in too fast at a certain point there. But thank you again. We'll be going live tomorrow as well. I'll be back with Natalie Bensavenga about like 5 o'clock Eastern time. We'll have some more live streams next week as well. Hoping to have you back on in the future. We can make this a more regular occurrence, especially as we're getting closer to the end of this, the madness with this bill. I'll have you back on to talk about that again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you to everyone who is watching, and we will go ahead and see you in the next one.
All right, bye, everybody.